In one case, language is seen as writing. In the other case, it's seen as speech. Now, because in writing, it's very patent, you can see whether the spellings are right or wrong and the grammar. But in speech, half of the things in any case are not acceptable. You make you make all kinds of changes. People speak incomplete sentences. So the notion of a rule, a notion of correct and incorrect, doesn't really apply, as I said yesterday. So Vyakaran versus grammar. And then basically, grammar is a set of rules to show what is a correct sentence, very broadly speaking, and what is not a correct sentence. And Vyakarana is a method of analyzing spoken language to show how the utterance is constituted and which of the utterances is to be preferred over others. The notion of correctness or incorrectness is not there. Acceptability, unacceptability is not there. Which is the reason why, as we said, that the Buddhists argued that there is no need for grammar. There is no need for grammar because people speak, and even when they speak differently in dialectal forms or variant forms, even then they are understood. People understand. So since they understand, and the kind of Vyakaran that has been written by Panini, the rules of that, the sutras, the recommendations of that Vyakaran do not apply even to his own language always. That is, he takes liberties. People take liberty with. So what's the use? And then there is a prolonged argument given by the grammarians. It's a long debate. In any case, in India's history of ideas, there have been three schools of thought. What are called Sampradaya. Sampradaya, unfortunately, article Sampradaya is made a bad word. Many of our good words have been turned into bad words. They say tradition, parampara. Now, parampara is a very wonderful word, and parampara simply means a continuous link of ideas and texts. So, it's all right. It has happened, but then not that it's going to make much difference because the parampara or the tradition of ideas and thoughts will continue to remain. The system, the thought system that is there in language thinking, it has been continuous. There has been a tradition, and it continues. So we started with this distinction, and then we came to, once we clarified these things, that what the Vyakaran does, that it describes the units of language, elements of language. What are the elements of language and how they are arranged? Because language, like all other systems, is a mode of arranging things. In this case, in the case of language, there are units which are combined to create larger units, and so on. So we came to the next next aspect. The language is a system of systems. We said system of systems. And we said that the word system has two meanings. One, language is a system in which there are many subsystems. And there are 6 subsystems. There are sounds, there are syllables, there are words, there are pada, and then there are phrases. There's kriya pad and nama pad, we call them. Pada is a morphological construction, and when you have a let's say, a noun with an adjective, or you have a verb with an adverb, then you have a phrase. What's called a phrase? A kriya pad or a nama pad. And then you have the ukti, utterance, sentence, sixth. And these are the major systems. That is, language is structured at 6 levels. 6 levels. And the ultimate unit, the basic unit, is sound. And then we talked a lot about sound, our conception of sound. And we pointed out that in modern physics, sound is not an ontological substance. It's not accepted as such. But in Indian thought, sound is a tattva. It's an ontological entity. It exists. Although what in terms of Kant, you can say a priori. There are certain things which exist prior to everything, prior to thinking about things. So sound and the arguments come from very close observation that sound is everywhere. Even silence is absence of sound, but silence is also sound, because many people say it is so silent that I can hear the silence. You can hear the silence. And the entire cosmos, we pointed out, the astronomical, all the planets and the galaxies and the solar systems, they are in constant motion. And since they are in constant motion, it does produce, it has to produce. There is sound, although that sound is in the form of imperceptible sound. That is, our gross ears do not hear them. So sound is ontological. But when we talk of sound in language, we talk of language sounds, sounds that are used in language to compose words. So the linguistic sounds, they are a selection from all possible sounds. And each language selects different set of sounds. And so sounds are the ultimate unit. And that's the first level of organization, sound. What is the organization? That will be the inquiry later. So you have a system which is made up of systems. A system will mean a number of elements. Elements. The arrangement of those elements is called structure. So sounds, there are a number of sounds, that is the system. How those sounds are combined to form syllables and then words, that is the structure, phonetic structure. And when it is specific to a language, then we use a word in English, phonological structure. Although in our discussion, they simply say Varna Samavanaya. Samavanaya is the enumeration. Enumeration is a technical word, a complete list of sounds that are used in language. So the study of Varna Samavanaya is then what do we study about that, how they are produced, what is the manner of production, where are they produced, and what are their attributes, how are they combined, in what way they are combined, and so on and so on. And then you come to syllable. In the same way, syllable system, it has a system, there are elements, there are different kinds of syllables, and then how syllables are combined, how they are created, what are the limitations, what are the restrictions, what combinations are allowed, what combinations are not allowed. Each language has its own syllabic patterns, syllabic systems. And syllable is a very important unit because it is the minimum spoken unit. And it is used not only in speech, it is also used in poetry. It has a technical role in poetry. On the basis of syllables, you have the metrical patterns. The metrical patterns can depend on either the number of syllables or they can depend on an arrangement of long syllables and short syllables. We have in Sanskrit 2 words, the Akshara Gana, that is a meter which is made up of number of syllables, simply number of syllables. Each line has 8 syllables, 8 syllables, 8 syllables. So you see, length is the same, and the syllables are the same. So it will have its own kind of rhythm. But then then there is the matra gana, that is arrangement of long and short syllables, long and short syllables. So in each line can have a different number of syllables, but the matras, the measure will be the same. Measure will be the same. Suppose the first line has 4 short syllables and 2 long syllables. Then the matras are 8. 8. The next line can simply have 4 long syllables. So there will be only 4 words. In the first case, there are 6 words. So the line is different in size, but the temporal line is the same. Time taken is the same. So that produces a different kind of rhythm in singing. So you have syllables. Syllables combine into words. Syllables combine into words, and then the word structure, how many syllables are there, and maximum in a language, how many and what kinds of syllables are allowed to combine, not all, because ultimately structure, now you take care of the word structure as against system. Structure is the arrangement of the systems, arrangement of the elements. Now that arrangement is characteristic of a language. Each language can have its own structure, its own system. What does that system consist of? Broadly 2 things. What is allowed and what is not allowed. What is allowed and what's not allowed. What kinds of syllables are allowed to be combined? How many syllables are allowed? How many more syllables are not allowed? What kinds of syllables are not allowed? You see? So it is all, and we have some very nice 2 words, vidhi nishedha. Vidhi nishedha. Vidhi is prescription, you prescribe, and nishedha is proscription, you proscribe. What you prescribe and what you proscribe, what you allow and what you don't allow. So that is broadly the system by which these elements that are there at a level of organization, those elements are arranged according to vidhi and nishedha. Vidhi and nishedha. What is allowed, what's not allowed. And the words then, the words can be derived, words can be formed from other words. You have from one kind of word to another kind of word. But then the moment you put a grammatical category, when you add elements like gender, number, person, case to nouns, or tense aspect moved to verbs, then you cannot anymore generate or prolong or elongate that word. So word creation stops the moment you put inflection. Remember these 2 words also, derivation and inflection. In our grammar system, we use the term pratyaya, affix, and the pratyaya, they are used also to say derive one kind of word from another kind of word, say adjectives from nouns, nouns from adjectives, and the grammatical affixes, that is gender, number, person, they are called vibhakti. But then at some point of time, even vibhaktis are called pratyaya. So, there is a small, so pratyaya is a pratyaya, affix, and then the grammatical affix and the derivational affix. Grammatical affix and derivational affix. So you have the affixes, and that is how words are formed. The inflected words are formed. Morphological constructions are formed. There is a big word, morphological construction. That is pada. हमारा बड़ा simple है. And the word pad also is ambiguous, poly meaning. It has many meanings, more than one meaning. Pad is a word in grammar which means inflected word. And pad is also a word in music, in meter, where it means a particular arrangement of lines. A pad, a quatrain, 4 lines, a pad. And each in music, in poetry, in meter, each word has a number of lines, each line has a number of syllables. So it's used in more than one meaning. Then when you use a verb, whenever you use a verb and then you qualify a verb, you say, as I said, the dancing teacher. So teacher is a noun and dancing is an adjective. Now the dancing teacher will go together, go together. In that is, you cannot, as I said, remember that in English, there is a word order free language, word order free. But Indian language is, sorry, English is not word order free. English is a fixed word order language. So you cannot shift. Our languages are configurational. You can shift the word order, change the word order, but it's not totally free. For example, if you have a phrase like अच्छा लड़का, वो अच्छा लड़का है, तो you can say वो लड़का अच्छा है, वो लड़का है अच्छा. You see, you can change. What you cannot change is the affix, inflectional affix. राम ने आम खाया, राम खाया आम ने, you can't do. So it's the grammatical particle which cannot be moved, So otherwise it's a free word order language, and it is possible because changing the place of the word in a sentence does not change the meaning of the sentence. Does not change the meaning, because the meaning depends on the relationship between words, which is marked by karak affix, case affix. The I'm thinking that the rival has come. See, so you have a choice. You can use one ear for that, and the other ear for this. Of course, you won't like to hear this. That's very beautiful, and somehow I find that very fascinating. You see, this bird coming and she's asking some questions. The tone is interrogative, isn't it? The interrogative tone is there. Okay, what it is, why is it so warm, and why is this gentleman creating noise, which is not pleasant. Any case, this is neither here nor there. So the words then combine to form phrases, and the pada combine phrases, and the phrases combine to form sentences, utterances. And at each level, let's say at the level of sounds, then you have to examine the structure of the sound system. You have to examine the structure of the syllabic system. You have to examine the structure of word formation. What are the particles used for derivation? What are the particles used for tense, number, gender? And in what context they are used? And at every level, you have to talk about the structure of that system. So you have systems. Each system is a number of elements, and at each level, each system then has to be analyzed for its structure, right? And then we said that I think we stopped here. We continue from here. That in the structure, nowhere level of structure. At each level, we have to examine. Again, I want this to be very clear. The system and structure. System, the number of elements. What are the elements? Ka, kha, ga, gha, ga, ga. So this is the system, right? But the ka cannot be followed by ta in Hindi. Ka cannot be followed by ta. Ka cannot be followed by kha. Ka has to be followed by a vowel. This is structure. What is allowed? What combination is allowed to form syllables? What's not allowed? So there is a structure. At the level of structure, there are certain principles. In this organization, there are certain principles. For example, the principle of linearity. Linearity, that is, there is pre-modification, there is post-modification. Placement before, placement after. Huh? Placement before and placement after. So if you take a particular sound pa, now you can have the sa before pa. Huh? Sa in English I say speak, but you cannot have sa after pa. So you can't have. You get the point? The linearity. It's allowed here, it's not allowed here. And there are 3 or 4 positions: initial position, post position, middle position in the sentence, end position. Initial, middle, and final position. And the same sound, when it appears on those 3 different positions, then it behaves differently. It has a different phonetic quality, and it undergoes different kinds of changes. When in historical linguistics we talk of language change, then we talk of in which position this sound changes into this. This sound, in which position ka becomes ga, in which position ka becomes ga. Ka cannot become ga if the following sound is a consonant. But if the following sound is a vowel, preceding sound is a vowel, if they say a, k, a, aka, aka, then in speech it can become aga. Ka can become ga. In between vowels, the vocalization, the vocalicity, the swara will start influencing the sound. So these things happen in context. When you put the sounds together, you get the context. So principle of linearity. When you put the language is basically linear, because God has given us only one book, one system. If God had given us 3 systems, we could have uttered 3 sounds at the same time, isn't it? But we have only one system, so we have to produce one sound at a time, one word at a time. So linearity is the product of the limitation of the hardware. So God has not given you 2 vocal organs, two sets of vocal organs. Given only one. Therefore, it has to be linear. This principle of linearity. Then, slightly different, although fairly close, the principle of sequence. Sequence. Linearity, second sequence, one after the other. One after the other. One after the other. A sequence. A sequence is there. For example, even in a free word order language like ours, the particle affix must come after the base, not before the base. In English, you have prepositions, prepositions. To, he went to Agra. He went to Agra. Hanuman flew to Lanka. Now, to is a preposition. But in our language, it becomes a postposition. Postposition. Lanka ko gaya. Ko Lanka gaya. Hanuman ko Lanka gaya. Hanuman Lanka ko gaya. Lanka ko gaya. So, the preposition in English is a postposition. This is sequencing. How are the different parts sequenced? Sequenced. So, this is the principle of sequentiality, right? Third principle is the principle of dependency. 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 We have a book, 18th century, late 18th, early 19th century. We people have been told, at least our education, school education tells us, all knowledge has been created in the West. And whether we read physics or we read philosophy, we read linguistics, we read any subject, all the references in the university syllabi, courses, they are all in English, they are all English books. They are all Western scholars. Am I right? कोई भी रेफरेंस लिस्ट होती है फिलोसफी में किसी चीज में भी, आप यहीं पे जाके देख लीजिएगा. You know, this is all English. So the impression that the young people get is that we are only recipients, receivers. कटोरा कल्चर. We are in a कटोरा कल्चर. तो हम कटोरा लेके बैठे हैं, कोई थोड़ी फिलॉसफी डाल जाता है, कोई थोड़ा मैथमेटिक्स डाल जाता है. So we are recipients, but that is quite contrary to the truth. India has been a donor tradition in knowledge, a donor tradition. Imagine, I mean, even Obama ji in Bombay, he said, if you had not invented zero, if you had not invented the numerals, all these are our inventions. The value of pi, these are our inventions. If we had not done that, there would have been no computer. No computer. So we have been a donor tradition, but we have been trained to become that we are, as I say in a light mood, that wonderful song by Mahmood in a film, De de Allah ke naam de de, international fakir aaye hain. So we are international fakirs. But when you start reading the text, start from 7th century BC, 9th century BC, Yask, you come down to Nagesh Bhatt of Karnataka, 1795. Nagesh Bhatt, who writes a book, Vyakarana Siddhanta Manjusha, a collection of principles of grammar. Now in 1795 or 1800, there is no such book in the West. Collection of principles of grammar. But you have a book, collection of principles of grammar, principles of Vyakarana Siddhanta Manjusha. So there are certain principles. You can infer them. The principle of dependency. What is the principle of dependency? Principle of dependency works both at the level of form, sound, and also at the level of the semantics, meaning. For example, if you have a word like loha, loha, so you can't say bada meetha loha hai. Meetha loha hai. Of course, Chomsky's famous sentence, green ideas sleep furiously. And he said, this is not a good possible sentence. But then, if you read Plato, 3 kinds of people can speak that sentence and have a meaning. Lovers, poets, and madmen. They can, and also kids, children. There is a book, Little Prince. Little Prince. Show it to your students someday. And the Little Prince, the prince draws, the boy, he draws a figure like this. See. And the father, and he asks the father, what is it? And the father says, it's a hat. No, it's not a hat. It is an elephant swallowed by a ajgar, by a boa constrictor. See. So the unimaginative father says it is a hat. In the child's imagination, he says it is an elephant swallowed by a python. See? Like this. So, in fact, as Badarayana, Shabar Swami, the commentator of Badarayana Sutras, said in 1st century AD, yes? गिर गया
नहीं है तो वो आवाज कर रहा दिखने दे कोई प्रॉब्लम तो एक बार चेक करवा
हेलो ये लोग सोचेंगे कोई फोड़ा हो गया सर को क्या हो गया? कल तो ठीक थे. It's all right. It's okay. So it's talking about the principle of dependency. Dependency. Now, dependency, I said, is at two levels, both at the level of meaning and at the level of form. At the level of form. For example, as I said, you can't say he packed a cloud in the box and sent it to his friend. He packed a cloud. You can't pack a cloud. What is the problem here? The problem is packing, the kriya, packing, that activity. It has to happen on something which can be packed, isn't it? Which can be packed. But something which is dispersed and vast and moving and everywhere, you can't pack it. You can't pack it. So this is a semantic restriction that it doesn't make sense, people say. It doesn't make sense. It has to be something that has to be packed. In the same way, if you use, whether you look at it from the point of view of noun, cloud, or from the point of view of the verb, or point of view of the adjective, meetha. So if you say meetha, it has to be something edible, something that you can chew. So it can't be that Hindustan Aircraft Limited manufactures edible aircraft, sweet aircraft, मीठे हवाई जहाज बनाते हैं. You can't do that. So there is this restriction, which is a semantic meaning, restriction of meaning. These are technical words. There are technical words in grammar, in modern transmission grammar, in our grammar. In our grammar, it is simply samanadhikarana. That it must be controlled, the two must be controlled by same principle. And samanadhikarana is a very general principle, very general principle. So this is semantic. But in form, if you say in our languages, ladki, then the adjective also has to be declined in the same way. Achhi ladki, not acha ladki. So if somebody who doesn't know Hindi, like my elder friend, Professor A.G. George, even when he knew what is correct, he will speak the wrong one, just to say that I don't know Hindi. Acha ladki aaya hai. You see? So this is not possible because the adjective and the noun are governed by the same grammatical principle. Gender marking has to be the same. So this is dependency. One word depends on the other. Occurrence of a word depends on another. Form of a word depends on another. So what are those dependencies in language? When you write a grammar, you have to describe. When you teach a language, you have to describe. Many of these things we learn by instinct, but conscious knowledge of why, how, gives you strength as a speaker. It gives you the ability to vary. So therefore, when you vary the grammar, you create effect, and poets often do that. They vary, and it's called, the device is called foregrounding. Foregrounding. वो थोड़ा बदल के from the norm, they change the thing a little and they draw attention to that. So knowledge, conscious knowledge. So you have to describe what is the dependency. Dependencies not only at the level of phrases, dependencies at the level of word and the particle, because you cannot have with the noun a verb inflection. You can't have with the verb a noun inflection. So there are restrictions. Remember, we all speak, we all talk, and we talk too much, everybody speaks, it appears that this is something which is fairly ungoverned, but it's a highly governed system. Highly governed system. And it's a miracle that so many people have internalized it so well that we all speak and we all talk. As I said last time when we started, that the birds fly, fish swim, and men talk. Human beings talk. So it's their intrinsic ability to talk. So there is principle of dependency. And there is also a principle of central control. By and large, it's a very, languages are a federal system, that is, there are so many things there. But then there is something which controls everything. Something which controls everything. There is I have used the expression centripetal control. Centripetal control. And I'll show next that in Indian languages, the controller is the verb, the kriya. Although it's very interesting that the verb generally takes the appearance of the noun with which it agrees. Ladka gaya, ladki gayi. So the verb changes its form according to the noun, right? Its appearance. But the fact that what noun can occur, what noun or nouns can occur is controlled by the verb. Controlled by the verb. Now, for example, take the verb dena, give. When you have the verb give, remember the other day I told you there is no proper verb. That nouns exist, verbs do not exist. Verbs come into being. So verbs have a temporal reality. Nouns have a physical reality. आप ये बात समझते हैं ना कि कूदना बैठना उठना ये कहीं नहीं कि वो कूदना बैठा है वो हंसना बैठा है नहीं है वो आपको जब दिखेगा तो किसी नाउन में दिखेगा नाउन में ही दिखेगा परंतु किस नाउन में दिखेगा वो उस वर्ब पे डिपेंड करता है तो इस verbs are like the nice good Hindu wives. They appear to be subordinate, but they are the real controllers. They will say ये आपको अच्छा लगता है रंग तो मैं पहन लेती हूँ all that, but they are the real controllers. So the verb which noun will occur depends on the verb. Once the verb demands the noun, then the verb is nice enough to start looking like the noun. No problem. And much married people like me, if Mrs. Kapoor were to come, you'll be surprised. Although she's a South Indian, I'm a North Indian, we have started like looking like each other. Because when you stay there a long time, you start looking like each other. And the differences meliate, they kind of, sort of submerge. Anyways, the verb and the noun, there is a dependency between verb and the noun also. The central control is of the verb. This is very interesting. हमारे यहाँ एक definition God की है काल स्वरूपी भगवान सुना हुआ है ना काल स्वरूपी भगवान people say the God which is simply the form of time. It is time which takes the form of God. Kaal Swarupi. Because everything exists, so-called exists, only in the wide perspective of time. But what is time? A very complicated subject. What is time? Take the example of, again, I take it from Bhartrihari, that if you are standing on a high mountain, say 8,000 feet, and down in the valley, there is a stream, river. From that height, you can't see the water moving. You can't. It's just a blue line. Suppose there is a big boat in that water. boat, and you see and you find something there, and then you go and eat and sit somewhere, drink coffee. After 2 hours, you come back after some time, and that boat now is here. It has moved from there to there. So you will say, lot of time has passed. देखो कितना समय बीत गया. समय नहीं बीता, समय नहीं बीता. वो अपनी जगह छोड़ के दूसरी जगह चला गया, उसकी लोकेशन बदल गई. तो स्पेस, स्पेस इज प्राइमरी, not time. Space is primary. That's why in our languages, the prepositions or the postpositions that we use for time and space are the same. वो जलंधर से अमृतसर गया, वो 7 बजे से 10 बजे तक सोया. से और तक, whether you use it for place or you use it for time, the markers are the same. But there is a dependency, as I said, and the dependency now between verb and noun, the dependency is very interesting, because the nouns, you have to, when the noun in a dictionary, noun in a dictionary is an abstraction. It does not refer to anyone. If you write ladka dictionary, ladka, it's just an abstraction. But when you use that word and say, मैंने उस लड़के से कहा, now that word in the dictionary is now actually referring to somebody, isn't it? And when you say उस लड़के से कहा, is it one boy or many boys? One boy. That singular is implicit in it. So ladka is not only a boy, it is also one boy. And you say, मैंने लड़कों से कहा. So now this is boy plus plurality, right? So nouns take a form according to the referent, जिसकी आप बात कर रहे हैं, जिनकी बात कर रहे हैं, वो फॉर्म लेते हैं. Then that form, you see, लड़का और लड़की, लड़कियां, लड़की, and then the verb, गई, लड़कियां गई. Once the noun has that plurality, the verb also takes the plurality. So this is the dependency of form between noun and verb. But there is a more fundamental dependency. Because the verb is jana, so ladka is permitted. Isn't it? Ladka is permitted. The noun ladka is needed because there will be somebody who has to go. पढ़ा है. If you have the verb पढ़ा है, लड़का पढ़ा है, metaphorically. किताब पढ़ी है, लड़की पढ़ी है, अटपटा है ना? It's not really, because there the dependency is semantic. बादल बाल्टी में रखा है, रखना. अब जो रखने में रखे वाली रखी चाहिए चीज ही होगी जो रखी जा सकती है, जो रखी नहीं. So the verb determines the noun. देना, give. There has to be a giver, there has to be a receiver, and there has to be something given. 3 चीजें चाहिए. So the verb give determines, demands involves three nouns. Three nouns. If those three nouns are not there, then giving cannot come into being. वो क्रिया हो ही नहीं सकती. क्रिया तो होती नहीं है. क्रिया अस्ति नहीं है, भवती है. Am I right? ये वो है नहीं, हो जाती है, बन जाती है, बन जाती है. So unless there are three, there can be no giving. Isn't it? There will be no giving. So the verb determines the number of nouns. Not only the number of nouns, but also the nature of relationship in which the nouns enter with the verb. Relationship. एक giver, एक thing given, एक receiver, लेने वाला. और ये जो relationships हैं, they once three nouns enter into a relationship, then the kriya, the verb is realized. Verb comes into being. Otherwise, there is no kriya, no kriya. And these relationships are called in English case, and in our language karaka. Karak theory. Karak. Right? Karak theory. So you have the dependency principle, and as I've tried to show in the with an old man's approach, not thoroughly systemic, but more instinctual and perhaps slightly more deep than it used to be, that the dependencies are of different kinds. Dependencies occur in different kinds of parts of a sentence. They occur between the base and the affix. They occur between the adjective and the noun. They occur between the verb and the adverb. They occur at the level of meaning, and they occur at the level of form. Dependencies. And another principle is the principle of hierarchy. Hierarchy. That is, that something gradually, when you start analyzing a sentence, and as you start building blocks, when we are playing with cards, so we put two cards, then we put a cover card. So you have 4, and on that you put 3, and then on those 3 you make 2. So the 2 is the highest. On 2 you put 1. Right? In that way you move from multiplicity to gradually to reducing the multiplicity till you reach 1. So you have an utterance. Then utterance has two parts. Who utters and what is uttered. Then who utters has 2 parts, 3 parts. There is a person. What kind of a person? Where is he standing? पेड़ पर चढ़ते बंदर. पेड़ पर चढ़ते बंदर. पेड़ पर चढ़ते बंदर आम खा रहे हैं. आम खा रहे हैं. So you imagine a tree which from a certain level starts having ripe mangoes. The monkeys are climbing and at the same time eating the mangoes. So utterance है पेड़ पे चढ़ते बंदर आम खा रहे हैं. But on top this is the utterance. And this is a single image. When you hear this, what do you see? You see one image. पेड़ पे बंदर चढ़ रहे आम खा रहे हैं. है ना? आप ये थोड़ा देखते हो, पहले पेड़ देखते हो, फिर बंदर देखते हो, फिर आम देखते हो. And then you see one monkey eating one mango, the other monkey eating another mango. You don't see any sequence. You don't see any parts. You don't see any fragments. You see the holistically one picture. So that one picture is the utterance. But then as you go down, it has two parts. Who eats what is eaten? Then who eats has so many parts. Huh? Those who were eating, so there are old or sick monkeys or too small babies, they are just sitting at the base, they can't climb and eat. So there are only those who are climbing and eating. Climbing and eating. Very sad picture, isn't it? So the poor small babies not eating, huh? Or old people not eating, but the young people eating. Right? You can imagine so many things. So you have a part, it has so many parts, and आम खा रहे हैं. You can even have पेड़ पर चढ़ते बंदर पके पके आम खा रहे हैं. So now pake pake aam, this what they are eating has two parts or three parts. And then you see some mangoes which escape, you know, कच्चे हैं, वो बच गए. It's nice to be not ripe. When monkeys are after you, it's nice for you not to be carrying a bag, you know. If you go to Jakhu in Shimla and you have a bag in your hand, you will be in a problem because the monkeys will chase you till you give away the bag or till you turn the bag and show there is nothing. Otherwise, they won't let you go. So, you know, if you are a ripe mango, then you are fit for the monkey, isn't it? So you can create a story about it. In any case, every sentence is a story. You know, it's called every sentence. It's a narrative. So you have paths and you come down and you have further paths. So, you know, you have the principle of hierarchy. So now you have principle of linearity, principle of sequentiality, principle of dependency, and principle of hierarchy. So this all comes under the structure. Now, next point that I have put in this is structure of each. This we will take now later, maybe in the third session. Now, I will just spend more time on the idea of structure, explain what I have been telling you. The third handout that I have given, I think you have this, with some handwritten, some hand-drawn things along with this. Structure of a language, therefore, structure of a language is an arrangement of parts. Now, what kind of arrangement it is, if we want to see or we want to understand, then there have been many theories of language, many theories. Initially, in the West, people thought that language is structured like a brick wall. A brick wall, like एक ईंट के बाद दूसरी ईंट के बाद तीसरी ईंट. So there is a linear view of language. A sentence is simply a sequence of words. But that sequence of words is internally related, internally dependent, that this has a certain sequentiality which cannot be violated, is not shown when you say that it is like the bricklayer, the linear view. Structure, the linear view, the first one. The second view is, it's a layered view. Layered, that is, you have parts, you put them together, you make three parts, then you put them together, you make two parts, and then you like this. So it's simply, again, it's an arrangement of parts. Again, this does not convey the idea of dependency. What is the interrelation? Which parts you can put together and which parts you cannot put together. What is involved there? That's not captured. And what I put here as fourth is the hierarchy 2, 2, 1, 1. This hierarchy and concentric are slightly different. You can say the bricklayer view, the box view, the brick view, and then the tree view, this hierarchy, tree. So you can't do that arbitrarily. You can't say, oh, sentence has become very long, let me divide it here. Let me divide it here. And I put half this side, half this side. If you know, when we started writing English in the school, we didn't have any idea why paragraphs change. So we'll go on writing till we feel paragraph बहुत लंबा हो गया है. Let me start another. Huh? Let me start another. But that's not the principle of paragraphing, isn't it? In the same way, the principle of hierarchy is not that something has become large, so you cut it up. So that cutting up also requires certain principles, certain principles. But hierarchy shows depth, depth. Layered also shows depth. But in the layered view, the interrelationship, that these two go together, how they go together, that question is not raised. But when you have the tree view, then you show that there is some connection. The two are more closely related than these two, and then these are more closely related than these two, and therefore that is the hierarchical. But in our grammar, our view is the wheel view, चक्र. कृष्ण जी का जो चक्र है, मैंने पिछली बार भी कहा था, आजकल चक्कर हो गया है कि वो बड़ा चक्कर चलाता है ना. So that is an entirely different meaning. But chakra, wheel view. You have a word in Hindi, Chakravarti Kshetra. Chakravarti Kshetra, which means that the whole country is seen as a unit which has a hub in the center, hub, and from that hub things emanate, and there is an outer boundary. The boundary, जैसे wheel होता है, wheel के धुरी होती है, धुरी केंद्र में, और उसकी spokes होती हैं, और उसके बाद एक ऊपर उसके कवर होता है एक राउंड, वो चाहे लकड़ी का हो, बुलक काट का व्हील है, साइकिल का होता है तो स्टील का होता है, कार का होता है तो उसके ऊपर रबड़ चढ़ा होता है, isn't it? So you have that wheel view. Wheel view shows that there is a kendra, there is a center which is there, and in this view, the center is the verb. In Panini's grammar, in Indian grammatical theory, it is verb-centered theory. Verb is in the center. And you can predict everything from the verb. If you have a verb form, if you say, let's say I tell somebody, I'll take this because the sentence I put is from my mother tongue, Punjabi, but then I have translated it into nobody's mother tongue, English. I for your marriage, by your brothers, to them with good pen in green ink, letter of marriage quickly got written. That is, a mother is telling the daughter that for your marriage, I got a letter sent from your brothers, written with a beautiful pen in green ink, because you don't write in black ink. When you write auspicious things, you don't use black ink, isn't it? So you use green ink, and I got it with a good pen, scratch किया हुआ है, जल्दी में लिखा हुआ है, beautiful pen, green ink. I got a letter sent for your marriage to them. That is those who are the prospective. Now this sentence is a typical cultural sentence for India. And in the life of a father, it is a very important sentence, you see. And because it is an enjoined duty in India of a father to marry his daughter to the best of his ability. And he has two duties. Boys have a very hard life in India. You see, they have two duties. They have to look after their old parents, and they have to marry off their daughters. If they don't do these things, they are told very clearly that you are not fit for heaven at all. So you will go to hell and you will suffer. I don't know whether these days nobody believes in these things, hell or heaven. They say, yes, I read a newspaper today, an 80-year-old mother was thrashed by her son and thrown out of the house. See? So these things are happening now. But then they are not supposed to be happening in our culture. See? Not supposed to be happening. Anyway, so this is a cultural sentence. Why I'm saying cultural sentence? Because if you read the American grammar, the sentences you have, cultural sentences you have is that Max bought a Mercedes. It's a commercial civilization. And or they'll say Michael ran away with Max's wife. You see, this is again a cultural sentence. And our two sentences in Indian grammar for 2000 years, Devadatta Hari Bhajati. Devadatta Hari Bhajati. Devdatta Hari ki puja karta hai. And the second sentence, Devadatta Odanam Pachati. Devdatta chawal pakata hai. Is pe many people in 2000 years have pitied Devdatta, that either he is unmarried or he has become a widower. Because the poor fellow is all the time either cooking rice or he is worshipping God in his old age. And they've written a biography of Devdatta. Because there is another sentence. In Tark Shastra, Tark, in logic, then they talk of the marker, Lakshan. So they say, देवदत्त का घर कौन सा है जिस पे कौवे बैठे हैं. So उसके घर पे कौवे बैठे हैं. कोई हाउस वाइफ नहीं है जो वहां कपड़े डालने जाती है ना. वो बेचारा कपड़े भी पता नहीं धोता भी है कि नहीं धोता है, कितने दिनों के वैसे ही पहनता रहता है. So this they write about. Now you see cultural difference, that a whole 2000 years of grammatical discussion around two sentences, Devdatta Hari Bhajati, Devdatta Odanam Pachati, and all transformational grammar around he ran away with his wife and he bought himself a convertible. So you can, that's why I say this is a cultural sentence. It's a very important sentence in Indian culture, that, you know, the great worry. Well, I should not be autobiographical. I have only one daughter, and I remember that in all my life, whenever I wanted to buy something, even a nice pen, fountain pen, my wife will say, "लड़की की शादी नहीं करनी है, इतना महंगा पेन खरीदोगे?" You see, all those 30-40 years, लड़की की शादी नहीं करनी है, and nothing was allowed. AC car was not allowed, good pen was not allowed, buying nice shoes was not allowed. कि लड़की की शादी नहीं करनी है. You know, the whole culture revolves around these things. Well, it used to. I will not go into other sociological dimensions, but I have very interesting things there also. Anyways, now this sentence I have translated into English, and I have put numbers on this. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There is one verb here, got written. Angrezi mein it is two words, got written. But in my language, in Hindi, it's only one word, likhwai. Likhwai. Suppose I don't say anything, I just meet somebody and he looks at me and I say, "Ha, likhwai." It's a complete sentence. Likhwai. What does he understand from this likhwai? कुछ लिखा गया था, किसी ने लिखा था, मैंने लिखवाया था, किसी को लिखवाया था, कभी लिखवाया था, किसी चीज से लिखवाया था. All this is built into that one word, likhwai. Got written. You understand? Do you follow? Got written. What? By whom? When? For what purpose? Where? To whom? All these questions, the answers to these questions are in nouns. And those nouns are all demanded by likhwai. Likhwai. And when you make them explicit and you put them in a sentence, you have the different cases, karakas. So the verb controls in the verb, the verb is the seed. Jaise that beautiful example in Bhatri, that in the seed of the banyan tree, there is the whole banyan tree. The whole banyan tree is in the seed of the banyan tree. And it appears when you plant the seed, the banyan tree starts appearing in a sequence. In a sequence. There will be one small, fragile plant, little bit, which will ultimately become the main tana. And then along that plant, the other things will come. So, in that one seed of likhwai, you have the entire sentence. Entire sentence. Entire sentence. In that sense, Indian grammar looks upon verb, considers language as verb-centered language. Kriya Pradhana. In the next handout that I have given you today, the title is Kriya Pradhana. Verb primary. Verb primary language. That the entire language is controlled, utterances are controlled by the verb. In other words, if you try to look at this in a wider perspective, after all, Kriya is happening. It's not being, it is becoming. All the time something happening, something changing. And one of this pre-Paninian Yaska, he says that all activities he lists: birth, growth, change, being, change, decline, and death. Birth, जायते, पैदा होता है, बड़ा होता है, बदलता है, होता है, फिर क्षीण होता है, और फिर खत्म हो जाता है. So this is the process. This is the process of life, and it is dynamic. And it all in the happening of all this, we notice time. We notice time. We go to somebody, and after 5 years, you say, अरे इतना वक्त बीत गया, कितना बड़ा हो गया है ये लड़का. वक्त बीत गया, वक्त नहीं बीता है, लड़का बड़ा हो गया है. Thing has changed, and in that change you see the time. So time is change. So Kal and God, Kal Swarupi Bhagwan, all change. And then this gentleman says that, well, all this is change. Birth, change, death. So you can say not 6, but only 3. Birth, change, and death. And then he says, but then birth and death are also change. So it's only one thing, change. Everything is changing. And from there, I think Rajneesh ji will forgive me, the Buddhists are not far away. Everything is changing all the time. Kshanika, momentary. Everything is changing all the time. Nothing is static. Nothing is fixed. So the dynamics of language around the verb-centered language. Now see, we have put these numbers because out of these, look at today's, I gave you a handout today also, did I? Did you get one? Yeah, this one, where the circle is a little larger. Here, I have made some lines dark. This, kindly try to see what I am trying to say in this. The dark line, which stands under number 2. Number 2 is I. Maine. So, I am the doer, the agent, karta. मैंने करवाया. तो मैंने करवाया. And the second dark line is for your marriage. purpose. Third dark line is sent. In fact, I have modified the sentence. I have modified in this, got written or got written from your brothers. From. This is got written, that is, the brothers wrote a letter and the letter separated from the brothers. You get the point? थोड़ा सटल है, पर जैसे पत्ता पेड़ से टूटता है, the leaf breaks off from the tree. The letter written by your brothers came off the brothers, from the brothers. I got it written. I was the agent. But it was written and came away and sent to somebody from. So there may be a slight doubt here later, which we can resolve in a more certain discussion, but it comes from. And then the next dark line is to them, written to them. And the next one is with good pen. Now these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 are the core. They have to be there. They have to be there. The other 7, 8, 9, and 1, they may be there, they may not be there. They are additional. But the other are essential, obligatory. So the karakas, the cases, the obligatory cases, without which a kriya cannot be realized, they are only 6. 6 karak relations. यहाँ 5 बनते हैं. I'll explain to you later. What are those relations? इनको you can put them in several ways. A letter is written. Who? For whom? What? What is written? Letter. Who writes? Somebody. Or somebody gets it written. So he is the one. And those who write it, from them the letter is taken and sent somewhere else. मैंने उससे पैकेट लेके उसको दे दिया. होता है ना ऐसे. I took the book from him and gave it to him. So the separation taken away from, and then who, whom, what. Who, whom, what. With what. वो जो किया किससे किया, किस चीज से किया, with what, and for what, क्यों किया. This is the thought structure. कोई भी चीज जो होती है, whatever idea, there is a limit, there is a, I think I have written here on this one, number 2, boundaries of thought. Boundaries of thought. Whenever we think in these terms. कौन, किसने, क्यों, किसको, किस लिए, किससे, कहाँ, कब. You can list this. It's a finite list. इसके बाहर कुछ नहीं है. No, we think we are great thinkers and we have such profound ideas and we think so much, but we only think along these lines. कौन, क्या, किसने, क्यों, किस लिए, कहाँ पे, कब. And that's all. So the human mind really, as reflected in language, because language is thought, and has its boundaries, straitjacket. So there is the so-called discussion about the free will and the freedom of the mind and freedom of expression. It's not conceptual freedom or structural freedom. It is only freedom to choose the instrument that fills the relationship. So you have a drama in Elizabethan period, a woman killed with kindness. So killed with kindness. Kindness is the instrument. You can kill somebody. You can kill with a knife, kill with a sword, kill with a stone, kill with a look. You can kill with a look, or you can kill with kindness. So the difference is in what fills the relationship, what fills that role, and not in that who, what, where, when. उसके बाहर नहीं जा सकता, mind नहीं जाता. Who, what, where, when. And therefore, later on, we notice that when we are creative, we become figurative, metaphoric, and we use words, use relationships metaphorically. Like the example I've given there later is that the axe cuts the tree. Paraswar vriksha chinnati. The axe cuts the tree. Now the axe cannot cut the tree. Axe cannot cut the tree. Somebody uses the axe to cut the tree. But what we do, the instrument, we make the agent. Isn't it? We make instrument the agent. And in other words, we promote the instrument to agenthood. Because in these relationships, there is a balance, there is an order. The most important relationship is that of the agent, the doer. And because the doer selects, it is the agent who selects किसको भेजना है, क्या भेजना है, किससे करना है. The other nouns, other karakas, other things are selected by the agent. Whether he writes in green ink, or he writes in turquoise blue, or in black, or in writes with a pen, with a ball pen or a fountain pen or a pencil, the choice is made by the agent. So there is a primacy among these. There is an order, a balance. And that balance is very clear. Karta, karma, karana. Karta, karma, karana, apadana, sampradana, and sambandha. Panini says, shashti sheshe. All the rest under sixth, which is noun to noun relationship. See, things are getting a little technical, but kindly stress your mind, keep your pace. Karak is a relationship between a noun and a verb. Noun and a verb. That's a Karak relationship. But when you will say Dasharath's son or Ram's brother, two nouns are related to each other. Two nouns, not noun and verb, but it is a relationship between nouns. That is called sambandha. And Panini says, Shashti Sheshe. All the other relationships come under sixth. Karta, karma, karana, apadana, sampradana. Karta is a doer. Karma is directed towards which. That is, if you write, then you write what? That is karma. And if you give what? Or you give whom? Sometimes there are two objects. Direct and indirect, they call it. Primary and the other. But you give to whom? And if you hit, then you hit whom? Hit whom? So you have the object, karma, karta, karma. And then the third one is you give, you hit, you write with what? With what? The instrument, karta, karma, karana. Because whatever done, whatever you do, what is it done? There are two kinds of, broad division. There are states and there are activities. In states, he is sleeping. You can't say what, how. He is sleeping. But he is hitting somebody. Then he is hitting with something. So all the activity-oriented activities, kriyas, they have an instrument. Karta, karma, karana. Then apadana. Apadana is the source from where the activity emerges. Something emerges. Like Ganga rises in the Himalayas. So Ganga rises in the Himalayas. The leaf falls from the tree. Leaf falls from the tree. And somebody in the Sanskrit grammarians, the poets that they are also, they say that apadana, separation, is a case of sorrow. Case of sorrow. Because the leaf falls from the tree. And you remember that line, कि किसकी लाइन है वो, पत्ता झड़ता यूं कहे, सुनो तरवर बन रहे, अब के बिछुड़े ना मिले, दूर पड़ेंगे जाए. So you see the apadana, the karaka of separation, is a case of sorrow. But then the sampradana, किसके लिए कर रहे हैं, it's a case of happiness. So when you offer water to the sun, you give a gift to your friend, or you write a letter to the samdhi or something, this is sampradana. ये अंग्रेजी में dative कहते हैं. So you are nominative, accusative, instrumental, dative. That is the fourth case. And then you have the kata karam karana, apada kata karam karana, apadan sampradana 5, shashti sheshe. And then the saptami, adhikarana. Where does this activity happen? Where? There has to be a location. Location. Isn't it? There is a location. That location is in time and it is also in space. Location in time, location in space. The location can be within location and time can be within time. So when you say, when David Copperfield, that he was born at the stroke of midnight, when the clock struck 12 in the middle of the night. So there is 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. He was born at 6 o'clock on Monday. Again time, two times. So location in time, within time. And in the same way place. He was born at Delhi in India. He was born at some other place in Gujarat. So you have location within location. Space within space. So when you have कि तिलों में तेल है, there is oil in the seeds, then the location is the seed. Oil is in the seed. It is enclosed in the space, right? So there is adhikarana, location. उसे सप्तमी, 7th. But basically, Panini says there are only six karakas. 6 होते हैं. Although in American books that we used to read, Girish ji, they go on increasing to 22, 23 because they confuse the elements that fill the slot with the slot itself. So killing with kindness is different from killing with a knife. So then they have another human instrument, non-human instrument, and like this. That shows, his thinking which is poor in hierarchy. Because you have to think in hierarchy in terms of larger categories. So when you have larger categories, your understanding becomes very simple, although it is very complex. It's based on complex parameters, but it's very simple understanding. Ultimately, you reduce everything to 6. All thought is reduced to who, whom, what, why, from where, for whom, when. That's all. You may consider yourself a Aflatun, a great philosopher, but that's all that you are doing. You are only describing these things, this or that. So, this is the structure. This is the structure of an utterance. utterance, and it is verb centered. It is verb centered. And you know, next point that you can take, that we can take, in fact, we can go back to this. I have described all these things here. You can read that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What are they? You can read these. One is an address, one is an agent, one is an object, one is a sampradana, a performer, an instrument, and manner, etc., etc., etc. And the verb got written is passive in English. It's passive. It has no other marking. But likhwai, the Hindi word likhwai, has a feminine tense marker. Feminine tense marker. Past tense marker. Likhwai is past tense. Likhwai is a feminine. That is, verb is not feminine. Kriya feminine nahi hoti. The noun with which it agrees, that noun is feminine. And what is the noun with which it agrees? Not the subject, not the karta. It agrees with the object. Chitti, chitti, letter. It agrees with the letter. So the form agrees. The dependency here, the formal dependency, is between the verb and the object. And the semantic control is of the verb on the nouns, on the agent. And the agent then selects the other instruments. Agent then selects the other things, right? So there is a vast order of dependency from the verb downwards, right up to adhikarana. Adhikarana is that location. Then, another thing that one can take off later, way back in 81, 1979, 80, when I was doing propositional analysis of verbs. So I thought of most of these things. What people call transformation of sentences in grammar, I thought of them as in terms of the karak case relations. That if you change the role of the case, then the sentence form changes. Instead of saying that this sentence is changed to this sentence by removing the word from here and putting it there and then adding by and this and that, you simply say, make the instrument the agent. Make the instrument the agent. And all the consequences follow. All the consequences follow. So, he cut the tree with an axe. Axe is an instrument. I'll direct, I say, just make the instrument agent. Then the entire sentence will become the axe cuts the tree. And all the changes follow. Changes in form. The child drowned in a pond. The pond drowned the child. He drowned the child in the pond. When I was writing these sentences, I thought that's bad because most probably at that time the cuckoo will also be singing. So these are bad sentences. She's not singing because these are bad sentences. So I thought of writing 1 or 2 good sentences. And they are, the flower smiled in the wall. The flower smiled in the wall. I was thinking of a poem, an English poem by Tennyson, which says, as I went by, I saw a flower growing in the cranny of a wall. I plucked the flower, I separated its leaves and appreciated the great creativity of nature. Analytical. Analytical. And there is a parallel poem by a Zen poet, who said, I was going, I saw a flower growing in the wall. I smiled at the flower smiled at me, and I went away. You see, this is a very richly synthetic mind. The whole creation is one. You see, the flower smiled at me, and so the flower smiled in the wall. So the flower smiled. There is some problem here, na? What has happened? The flower doesn't smile. It is not a case of sentences are related to each other by the change of case. like axe cuts the tree, pond drowned the child. You change the case, the sentence changes, but the sentences are related. Meaning is the same. Meaning is the same. But the other way of changing sentences is when you make when you add to the verb a noun figuratively, which generally does not appear there. A flower does not smile. Is not, because smiling typically is a human activity. But when you say the flower smiled in the wall, huh, what you are actually saying is, I saw a beautiful flower. It appeared to me that the flower is smiling. That is not even that. It appeared to me that the flower is happy. The flower is happy growing there in that small place. Now this is a relationship between sentences, which is semantic relationship, but not because of the change of the case, but because of the change of the figurativeness of language. So you use where you said, remember I said in the beginning, dependency, semantic dependency, that the words depend. You can't have a sweet steel, and you can't have a melted cloud. A melted cloud will be figurative. Melted cloud. You can say the crowd melted away. The crowd melted away, or the cloud melted away. The two kinds of melting is very different. It's very different. But then you put them together, it's a new use, and you are imposing a new structure. But the meaning remains, the crux of the meaning remains the same. The mode of expression changes. Am I right? You get that? Anyways, then finally, I have put a sentence here. What's it?
1 minute. Battery.
Okay. I think we are going to stop now. After,
We can take it.
in any case, after some time, right?
So what time will you come tomorrow, sir?
Tomorrow I'll come at 12, if possible.
Well,
Huh? You have classes, most of you, because they have to leave. Tomorrow they have to leave with all these things. Go back to Ahmedabad. So tell me, I'll come at that time.
लोगों क्लासेस होती है 12 बजे
हाँ
4 to 6 I think they have to.
नहीं, कल 4 to 6 नहीं ना, इन्होंने निकलना है.
एक्चुअली हमें ये पूरा पैकअप करने के लिए दूसरे दिन को चाहिए और दूसरी शादी करेंगे तो एक्चुअली ट्रेन हमारे साथ होगा. हमें वहाँ करीब 5:30 बजे तो मतलब पैकअप करने के लिए हमें 3:30 बजे तक फ्री होंगे.
हाँ? Tell me.
12 बजे की शुरू से यार से कर सकते आप भी आपके लिए हमें एडजस्ट करना चाहिए. नहीं कैसे पढ़ाती आप एक दिन बोल सीधी लगा दूंगा पढ़ने को अपने स्टूडेंट्स को लिंक कर देना. हम मोबाइल पर लाइव मैं लाइव ठीक है 12 बजे मिलते. सर इसको एंड करने के लिए लास्ट में 5 मिनट हम अब एंड हो रहा है.
बोलिए.
हाँ 5 मिनट आप बस 2 मिनट के लिए जो आप कह रहे थे ना अभी, क्योंकि हमने बीच में रोक दिया.
हाँ.
तो कुछ ऐसी एंडिंग हो जाए.
नहीं करना है अभी तो. करना है तो this is I was waiting for you to decide the time tomorrow. Have you decided some time tomorrow? Have you decided some time tomorrow? No.
12 बजे.
12 बजे. Okay. All right. So you will of course link it up.
Yes.
I was saying that I've said that there are at the level of structure of an utterance, the controls are slightly different from the controls that are there at the level of phrase, at the level of further at the level of word formation. Although you can, in a very broad sense, say that the controls are basically prescription and proscription, what is allowed, what's not allowed, but the parameters of what is allowed and what is not allowed, they change from one level to the other in language when you move from one level to the other. And at the level of utterance, the utterances are all, we're not deliberately using the word sentence. Yesterday, I made the distinction between sentence and statement. For our purposes, we can talk of a sentence. We need not worry about its truth value. We can simply take a sentence. But we are using the word utterance because Indian grammar is about spoken language. And in speech, you rarely speak complete sentences. And what I am doing right now is not normal common speech. I am speaking composed language. I am speaking, but I am speaking a compositional language. I am addressing. I am not conversing. I am addressing. So I am composing the sentences, composing. Even now, it is not so controlled as if when I sit down and write. When I sit down and write. So at the level of sentences, the dependencies, the internal dependencies, the mutual dependencies are of a different kind than the earlier. And basically, the dependency is between the verb and the nouns. And verb is the heart of the sentence, the pulsating heart of the sentence. And because verb does not exist, the verb comes into being once a certain number of nouns enter into a particular relationship. When the certain nouns enter into a relationship, तब क्रिया फलित होती है. जो क्रिया नहीं होती, there is no kriya. It's not there. It only comes into being and disappears. Comes into being and disappears. So it's momentary, transient, and so on. So verb is the heart, and when you start tracking what is the relationship between the verbs and the nouns, then in Indian grammar, those relations are 7, let's say, basically 6. But then the definition of a relation, Karak relation, is it's a relationship between the noun and the verb, because the nouns which help the verb to come into being, that is Karaka. But then there are certain relations that exist between noun and noun, Sambandha, and they are the 6th. And Panini puts all such relations in one class, noun and others. And the 7th one, of course, is Saptami Adhikarana. But basically 5. Now these are crucial. There are, in each relation, there can be more than one realizer of that relationship. For example, in the example sentence here, we have with a beautiful pen in green ink. A pen and green ink. Both are instruments. The Karaka is instrument, Karana. But one is an instrument, and if you want to split here, one is an instrument, the other is the medium. But both have the function of being instruments of doing something. Instruments. So both pen and ink, they come under. That's why you can say that in the earlier one, I have put 6 and 7 together. 6 and 7. The number 6 and number 7, that pen and good pen and green ink, they realize the same relationship. But the key relationships are these 6. And when you change, it is possible it is possible to promote or demote a noun, a karaka. Agent can be made an instrument. Location can be location. Even adhikaran can be made an agent. For example, uh, the truck loaded the timber. The truck loaded the timber. Now the truck did not load the timber. Somebody loaded timber in the truck. So truck is a adhikarana, but you make it agent. So when you move location to agent, then certain consequences follow. And the form of the sentence will change. Verb agreement will change. Everything will change. Everything will change. And always think of your language, not the English sentences which I am giving as an example for our understanding here. But when you think of the Hindi sentences, then you know the kriya or naam, the agreement between noun and verb becomes much more clear. So if the location is one, but agents are many, हाँ? बहुत लोगों ने ट्रक लोड किया, है ना? और बहुत लोगों ने ट्रक में लकड़ियां डाली, हाँ? और ट्रक ने लकड़ियां डाली, ट्रक लकड़ियों से लद गया, ट्रक लकड़ियों से लद गया, तो अब ट्रक के साथ एग्रीमेंट हो गया तो वर्ब की फॉर्म बदल गई, द फॉर्म ऑफ द वर्ब हैज चेंज. So depending on the change of the case, the role of the case, the form of the sentence will change. The other relationship among sentences is that of figurative language. You fill the slot by a noun which normally does not co-occur with the verb semantically. So like flower smiling, or iron, let's say steel shouting. That steel shouted at me. So that when you do that, again there is a change. There is this time now the meaning remains the same. The meaning remains the same. It is the perception. It is the perception. When you say the pond drowned the child, or when you say the child drowned in the pond, or when you say he drowned the child in the pond, it is the speaker's perception which is different. In one case, the speaker is holding the pond responsible. In the other case, he holds the man responsible. And the third case, he holds the child as a victim. Nobody pushed him, nobody pulled him, but he fell. No? So a helpless agent, a helpless kind of experiencer. So this perception of the speaker is behind the choice of karak relationships. And that perception, we have a word in our grammar, vivaksha. The speaker's vivaksha. What is his intention? What does he want to say? What does he? And that, depending on that, he will construct the karak relationship. And then finally, I have given a sentence which includes all the 7 cases. At sunrise, this is adhikarana, temporal adhikarana, समय का. At sunrise, Rama, agent, killed Ravana, the karma, Rama, karta, Ravana, karma, in Sri Lanka, adhikarana, now space, location in space, in time, in space, with Brahma's arrow, Brahmastra, Brahma's arrow. Now Brahma's arrow is the Shashti. It is the Sambandhakaraka, right? But the case of arrow is the third with arrow, instrument, karana, karta, karma, karana, arrow. From his bow, arrow which flew from his bow. And bow, the dhanusha, is in the apadana, ablative case. ablated. And the purpose is to free Sita, Sampradana. Sampradana. So you have Karta, Karana, Karana, Apadana, Sampradana, Sambandha, and Adhikara. All the 7 in this single sentence Ramayana. You know, have you heard of the most abbreviated version of Ramayana by a poetess? एक था रामन्ना, एक था रावन्ना, वाने वाकी त्रिया चुराई, वाने वाको मारन्ना। इतनी सी कथा भाई, तुलसीदास लिखे पोथन्ना। कहानी तो इतनी सी है। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
सर, कल का जो लेक्चर है, you can also do 1:30 to 3:30. Ram Sharma has no issue with that.
1:30
to 3:30. Classes and problem.
I have no problem.
How about 1:30 to 3:30? Is it okay? 1:30 बजे start दिन बजे. Next to जाइए. Yes sir. Chef. सर आप लोग चले नीचे हम बच जाते हैं।
हाँ, नहीं